This is not going to be easy, Bill. Your father has lung cancer. No! I cried out. It was right on these steps outside. It was 3 weeks ago. It was after our team training Friday night. And it's something I'll never forget. My mom texted me earlier that day, so I knew something was wrong. I did not want to face the harsh reality, but it was harsher than I thought. I didn't think that I'd get as emotional as I did. I completely lost my emotions, wept like a baby. My 17-month-old daughter was with me at the time, and she saw me crying. And of course, that wasn't good for her. She started crying as well. It was a rough time for us. 3 days later, Hurricane Sandy comes and wipes out the entire East Coast. Didn't get any easier for us. Our whole entire first floor wiped out. 5 feet of water, our walls, our electric, appliances, letters that my grandmother had written me when she was alive, all destroyed. Can life get any worse, I thought? And sure enough, it can, because I heard stories, I'm sure you heard them as well. Touching stories. One that really got to me was the one family where last year, Hurricane Irene, they decided to evacuate and they got robbed. They had looters come in and destroy their place. So this year they said, you know, we're not leaving this time. And sure enough, it got even worse for them. 3 out of 4 of the family members completely washed away, babies, and just horrible things that we should not have to deal with, but unfortunately is a reality sometimes. However, just like a box, look at a box, it has multiple sides to it. You can see, you might, if you didn't know any better, you might think that box only has 2 or 3 sides, and sure enough, it has more sides than that. I want to challenge us here today to look at things differently and to actually live differently. In Viktor Frankl's book, A Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about the idea that we all go through suffering. It's a part of life. Viktor Frankl himself was in 4 different Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz. His whole family was passed away. He went on to survive, become a successful psychiatrist and author, helping out countless people. How is it that most of the people died? He went on for that, and he claims that it's because he found meaning within his tragedy. So we could do the same. I heard a story of a 8-year-old boy living out in the middle of the country somewhere, totally unaffected from the hurricane. Goes to his doctor for a routine visit, and was disappointed because he didn't get the cartoon Band-Aid he loved to get. He got one of those boring brown Band-Aids. I'm sure you know how kids are with those. He was disappointed, but then he found out the reason why was because the doctor had donated all of the cartoon Band-Aids to the hurricane victims. So after getting over his disappointment, this 8-year-old boy decided to do something about it. He said, I want to do something about it just like my doctor is. So he decided to set up a lemonade stand, raise a bunch of money, and donate it for the victims. And then you hear all these stories of people doing things. It brings me to a friend of mine from high school who I've sort of lost touch with over the years. But of course, with Facebook, we're all still connected to everybody. We feel like we're best friends with people that we haven't talked to in 30 years. So anyway, he's, I saw him on there doing some things. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. A lot of people are doing stuff, and we're doing this. But no, he took this thing to a whole nother level. At first, I saw him handing out coffees to people waiting in line to get gas, stressed out, anxious people. He's taking his time and giving them coffee. It's like, wow, that's a really impressive way to serve people like that during this time. And then I seen him doing other things. He was delivering firewood to families with fireplaces for warmth. And then I realized he was really getting his elbows dirty. He's going in houses. He's doing electrical work. He has his whole team there. He's doing clean-outs. They're cooking food, bringing it to overworked police personnel. These really thoughtful things. It makes you realize that you can do something. Of course, we haven't scratched the surface yet. So many people are still homeless and have no clothes or food. But we can do something. You guys, just from being here, taking the time to better yourself, which is an important thing that we should not let go of, as well as donating your time, money, and resources is a great first step. So we can always do something else. So I challenge you to think of one thing you can do in addition, one other thing you can do. If we all do that, that's a whole bunch more help that we can give. So there are plenty of things you can do. I'm sure you guys have some ideas. If not, you can give money, right? You can give resources. You can give blood. You can donate your time. That's sometimes the hardest thing to do, even for myself. It's easy to write a check, which is awesome, and that's very appreciated by everybody. But sometimes it's donating that time. For myself personally, that I really have to block out that time and donate. Even as simple as, I'm sure Melissa could tell you, give someone a call. Someone you know is having a lot of problems, give them a call, reach out to them. And it might feel like it's a waste of time, I don't want to bother them, but I'll tell you from experience, we've had a bunch of people that really showed their friendship to us during this time. It's not even like they did anything, but just the genuine concern for us really goes a long way. So, again, I would challenge you to think of something else that you can do, and I appreciate what you're doing so far. As most of you know, we're really big on quotes. I'm personally really draw a lot of inspiration from quotes. That's why they're on our Facebook page. That's why they're around our gym here. There's a quote right here. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. The legendary John Wooden. How applicable here. It's so easy to get wrapped up in our problems. I'm sure you all know somebody. We all know somebody who's constantly playing the blame game. Right? Their whole life is nothing to do with their actions. It's all about their parents. Their parents screwed them up. Their coaches screwed them up. Their teachers screwed them up. Nothing. There's no personal responsibility. And I think it's too hard on people because this is a hard time for people, and it's very much expected to have some hard emotions during these times. It's hard times, and we can kind of grieve and get our emotions out with people. But if we're spending 80-90% of our time thinking about our problems, talking about our problems, we're completely preventing ourselves from moving forward. So if we're focusing on what we can't do, eventually there has to come a point where we press forward, move on, and decide to focus on what we can do. Okay, we have no house, but maybe we can help somebody else, that's in a worse situation than we are. I know from our personal experience, we were displaced from our house. My father is very ill. I can't control what happens to my father. I can't control his illness. But what I can do is do what I can do. I can show him that I care. And what I decided to do is I wrote him a letter. Really old-fashioned, I know, to actually take out a pen and a piece of paper and actually write a handwritten note. But I wrote my father a note about how much he means to me. I wrote him a note about the lessons he's taught me as he raised me. And it was very emotional, but I'm very glad I did that. Because now, unfortunately, he's too ill to write back, and I'm hoping that I'll get a letter back from him soon. So that's what I decided to do there. The other thing is personally, my wife and I and our daughter, we were displaced from our home. Family time. That's something that's really important to us. That's kind of completely changed. Our whole lives have been thrown for a loop, but we don't want to let go of those things that are important to us. So tonight, in the midst of all this crazy drama that's going on, we're taking some time. We're going to go to the movies. You guys are all invited. We're going to see Lincoln. I'm sure it'll be a good time. So it's very, very, very important that we do that. So it's really something that we need to keep in mind is focusing on what we can do. It's so easy. We're just naturally selfish when we're thinking about ourselves all the time, and it's normal because we have a lot of problems. But we have to think outside of ourselves and think of what we can do in certain situations and be more solution oriented. The last thing I'd like us to consider is how we're spending our time. We were all born in a particular year. For me, it was 1979. After that year, there's that little dash, right, that you see. And then for us, thank God, we're all here breathing. There's an empty spot next to the dash. But that dash represents our life. And how we spend our time is going to be what that dash is composed of. We don't know when that dash is going to have an ending on it. We don't know how much longer my dad has. We're hoping and praying that it's much more time. We don't know when our own time is up. You hear it all the time. You hear these stories. The past is gone. We can't change it. The future is not guaranteed. The present is a gift, and that's what we have right now. So we have to really take seriously how we spend our time. It doesn't mean that we can't have a good time. That's part of that. But it means that we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing with our time? Are we pursuing worthwhile goals? Are we developing our talents? Are we living our life with a purpose? Or are we just wasting time? Are we spending mindless hours in front of a television when we could actually be doing something with value and with meaning? So we'll close with this. I'll close with this. We're going to overcome this. We're a strong country. We're a strong nation. We're a strong state. We overcame 9/11. If we can overcome that, we can overcome anything. So we will get past it. That's why we're called Strong Island, because we overcome, we help each other out. However, more problems will come. We'll have problems throughout our life. We'll have difficulties. And how we respond to them will be largely responsible for how we end up. So I would just encourage you, challenge you, to do one other thing for the Hurricane Sandy victims, because that's what we're facing right now. Focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do, and spend our time wisely. The great motivational expert Jim Rohn said, you'll face two types of pain throughout your life. There's the pain of discipline, and there's the pain of regret. The difference is the pain of regret weighs tons, while the pain of discipline only weighs ounces. So thanks so much for coming today. I appreciate it, guys.